So today I'm gonna be doing this. Yeah. I'm going to get started. There might be some noises in the background, but yeah. So Vikings were usually mostly traveling for a lot of the time. The Vikings would be traveling on boats most of the time, but not on land, boats on water. So they usually would travel with boats, so they don't really have villages, but they do usually have villages sometimes. And compared to other stuffy ones like Romans, well, this is technically Greek because it's not Zeus, it's Zeus instead of Jupiter, but it's close enough. Compared to other stuff, the Romans were more in villages, like some like these. So Romans will like stay in one single area with all the stuff that they would need, like plants and goods and water. But Vikings, they get their stuff that they need by raiding other places. They were in colder areas, but they traveled around and raided a lot of places, so they were a lot stronger. The Romans had pretty good defenses. They don't really have walls because they thought their army was enough, and they didn't really have walls because their army was usually enough to take care of them. However, the Romans died because what happened was Germans attacked, and when the Germans attacked, they had cavalry. So in the cavalry, the horses were like stronger than normal people, so they would just have to charge through and just trample them all. And, destroy them like that. That's how the Roman cities fell. And then later on, it became Byzantium. Byzantium had a wall and like 3 parts where it was really strong, and a water area. When boats try to sail over to the docks in the water area, there would be a chain that connects all the way to the other side. It would cut off the boat's bottom area, and the boat would just sink. The Viking boats were actually strong enough. They were light, they were more shallow, so they can just go on land. But they were actually shallow enough to go across. Some of them were able to go over the chain, but they didn't actually raid because it was just a bad idea. Because only a few boats would make it over, and it wouldn't be enough to actually defeat them. So because of the army and stuff. So instead, they just mainly used it for trading. Trading their stuff. The Vikings sometimes would trade, and if they didn't want to trade, they would just kill them and just raid their stuff. So either way, they would get the stuff. So yeah. The leader of the Vikings is called a Jarl, and that's like the chief of the Vikings, and they usually destroyed everyone they fought, or sailed to different areas. Byzantium fell when cannons were invented. So once cannons were there, Byzantium fell because their wall wasn't strong enough to hold up against cannons. So they just invented cannons, destroyed the wall, came in, shot them with cannons. That's just one of the reasons they fell. And another reason was that they didn't have an army anymore. Before, they had an army there, but it was actually made up of farmers. But since they had a wall and the overpowered chain that kills every single boat, basically, they didn't need the army anymore. So they fired every single one of their members. So when there was actual stuff that came to raid them, when people came to raid, they didn't have anything. They couldn't really do anything. So they just they can't really. The farmers used to fight for them, but then they can't really do anything. So just the people will just get destroyed. I mean, they could kind of punch, but they weren't trained, specially trained or anything. So yeah, they could take out 1 or 2 soldiers by punching them, but when the other people are trained, they can kind of easily take them out like that. For example, Vikings are more all-terrain, and they used wood for boats, and they made extremely powerful boats. The Vikings were strong enough to move the boats around. They could sail it onto land and then just push it back in. So the boats were pretty big, enough to withstand quite a few arrows. So the boats were pretty big and strong, and was designed for speed, and a couple of arrows couldn't really do anything. And they can kind of easily move the boat. They wouldn't actually throw the boat, that kind of sucks, honestly. They weren't good. And they don't actually hit them with paddle sticks. So, yeah. But those boats were strong. That's the point of what I was saying. And Byzantium, yeah, they stayed in one place. Byzantium was a really good place because it had all they need. It had water, it had protection, it had food. That's all they need. And then they started bringing back things like art, because once they were done, they brought back art. So because they don't have anything else to do. So they started make things look nice instead of everything for protection and fruit and water and stuff like that. Because those aren't necessary, but then cannons were there, so yeah. And they so another reason that Byzantium was destroyed was because an army was approaching or strong. They needed help. So they called for help. They needed help, and so they called for help from another place. And the place helped, and they said they would be rewarded if they helped out. So that's what they did. The reward was that trading would be free, and trading was a really good idea in Byzantium because it was in the middle of Asia and there's other places. So it was just a really good idea, and they were glad. And everyone else abused the trading thing. They just held up a flag of that country, even though they weren't from it, and they just used it for free. So the emperor, the country kind of started getting poorer and poorer, and they couldn't really do anything about it, because that was the reward. The reward was just way better than it should have been. So, yeah. The Vikings, they basically took over a bunch of things. They kind of wanted to mess people up. So, they went to this, they found this was like, Leif Erikson and like Eric the Red was his like dad. So Eric the Red found this place called, well, he calls it Greenland, even though it's really icy, and it's found this green land, so he called it Iceland to like mix people up, to make them like upset. And yeah, that's kind of what happened. The Vikings basically raided everyone, and no one really stood much of a chance, because they were strong. They didn't actually have horns on their head. They were strong, but to people in a different time, they weren't too strong, because like people in a different time can do things like modern stuff, let's say. Yeah, like really modern stuff, like tanks. They can't really fight against tanks that well. Tanks would just keep shooting, run them over, do whatever, and destroy them. So, but at that time, no one was gonna win. A bunch of soldiers, sure, they could just put that there. They could get a knife, and no, not that many knives, and an army of archers. Sure, they could keep doing that stuff, but they had a bunch of the Viking warriors were strong. They were called berserkers. These guys were they would have wooden shields and axes. They weren't actually headbutt, but they could. And yeah, so they had their own weapons and armies and stuff like that. They wouldn't really leap that far. Instead of like playing tactical and surrounding the enemy, they would just charge in and kill them all. They could just keep trying to attack, and losing soldiers was bad. But yeah, they could just keep trying to attack. Then these guys would just keep firing. These guys keep firing arrows, but they'll just mow them all down in the end quite easily. Like that, I just have shields, axes. That's what made them, and they seemed way stronger than everybody else, so everyone was like, oh my god, how do I beat these guys? Of course, other things, like I said, would destroy them. Bullets aren't really strong. Bullets are actually strong against if you had a sword and a shield made of wood, bullets would kill you. Bullets go bang and then go through air. They say ouch and then they sleep. How did they survive? That's not accurate. Yeah. How are these guys strong? Okay. Oh, the shields can help, and the armor can also help, but in the end, you lose, Buster. Yeah. That's the Vikings. The Vikings started their own colonies in different places. The Jarl was a leader and sent other people on missions. there are these like, I forget what they were called. They were like monasteries or something like that. They were like, so priests would like go and have a church. Well, let's get an appropriate area for this. Okay. Priests would have a church. I know, crazy, right? What kind of technology and madness is this? Priests in a church? Wow, never heard of that before. So, what happened was, they didn't believe in violence, so when they had and they put donations in there. They just keep them there. So, since they didn't really believe in violence, it was pretty easy to raid. And basically, free cash. And they were like, free cash, yay, give me cash. They would be like, no more violence, no more violence, and then they would just be all dead. Look, 3 people they're trying to help each other, like, let's go Christianity. And now they're just getting killed. Each and every. This guy got knee to the face and died. Look how simple. And then they just go in here. Haha, free gold. Yes, thank you for the cha-chings, money's buster. Haha, now you're poor, but you're dead at the same time, so you don't need that money anymore. So, yeah, they would be like, it would be like, yippee. Yippee, we're rich. Like, that would be enjoying the gold that they get. They weren't pirates. This is the only place I thought of that would really have gold. But it would just be like, haha, look at our gold. We are the rich ones, you guys are poor. And you're noobs. So yeah, they get wrecked. And they had gods and stuff that they believed in. But they believed in different gods. The most iconic is definitely Thor. Marvel made him a superhero. Yippee, Thor. This, like, his dad was Odin, and they also had their own days. His mom was like Frigg's. Like, Thor was Thursday. It kind of sounded like him. Frigg's, his like mom was like Friday. When stuff would happen. The gods were an actual like god power, god tiered, but they were like superhuman, so like strong and stuff. Where did Mjolnir go? Where did it happen? Was that guy just cosplaying as Thor? It wasn't actually Thor. Where's Mjolnir? It can't be destroyed. What? Why are you guys up here? Get inside the you guys aren't smart, but you kill them anyway. Okay. So yeah, Thor was strong, but like superhuman strong. That's why they would be like, yes, epic gamer. They would like their gods and help them. The gods were good to them because that's just their culture. Other people can have other cultures. And yeah, they believed in gods like Thor. Thor had Mjolnir, hammer, lightning, boom. Hammer plus lightning, boom, equals Mjolnir. Odin had like this icy staff, like this like not staff, spear. It would throw the spear, they get ice. Like see this guy spear thrower. See this area ice. Look, ice on ground. Okay, cool. Ice and spear equals ice spear. Together they equal Odin, which go kaboosh and they freeze. Pretty magic, huh? So yeah, that's all I've got right now. The Romans are dead. The Byzantines are dead because of cannons. Because the farmers have all been fired, and all they have left are just the people. That's their only sense of protection. They can't really do anything. They could just grab a kitchen knife. That's like all they can do. There's no more warriors, and the enemy has cannons. So what would kind of happen was they would get absolutely destroyed. Like, first, when their army dies, they're like, oh no, the horses are gonna kill us all. That's what happens to the Romans. They die. That's just the end of them. Okay, they die. Okay, they all die from horses. They're like, what kind of madness is this? Horses? What kind of insane technology is horse? So yeah, they all die in the end. Okay, they're like, oh yeah, well, horse don't run up walls, so build walls. And it's like, horse don't run on water, so put water. Boat go on water. Oh no, Vikings raid us. Haha, only some boat get through. Because of the chain. Because of chains, like kind of like these, but like, they were like really big chains, and their boat would like smoothly cut them off, as if it's like cheese. I don't know, that's like the first thing that came to mind with me. It's like cheese. Yeah, a knife and cheese. If the cheese was able to move, the knife would go kablow, kablow, kablow. The cheese would get cut, and aha. And then they're like, haha, we're safe now. Finally, we're safe. Then cannons were invented, so they weren't actually safe. They couldn't really do anything because their army gone again. The army was fired this time, though. Last time the army was destroyed. This time the army was fired. Stop shooting the ground. That's stupid. Kaboosh. Dead. Wow. 20-minute video. Oh my god, this is insane, man. What's going on? Me? Why are you making a long video? It's not even that long though. So yeah, there's different things. The weather was good in Byzantium. Vikings, not too good, but they kind of got used to it. And ice was just like, ice is nice. So that's gonna probably be it. So last thing I have to say is, the Grim Reaper, in the end, the Grim Reaper can kill them all. Yes, the Grim Reaper can kill them all. That's basically the last thing I can say. And also, oh yeah, the actual last thing for real to say I will do is bad grammar. Okay, that last thing is, if you freeze the Grim Reaper in this game, it looks really cool. It's not fully frozen yet. Also, these guys can't actually freeze him. See, look, icy crystal skeleton. Yeah, that's basically it. I don't know how to mention that, but bye. And eat cheese, cut up with a knife or not. It's really good. Well, in my opinion.